Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kathy. So I wanted to do a video on reaching out to that person who you haven't talked to in a long time. And there could be many reasons. Maybe you had a falling out, maybe there was some kind of issue that came up, and yeah, or it could be just time is going by and you're like, oh, I need to reach out to them. I need to say hi. I need to, whatever it is. So this can be a triggering topic. So I will warn people, if you've been through something, it might be triggering, might be upsetting. I've had 2 instances where, yeah, it was too late to reach out to someone because things happened, and I'll tell you guys about that. It's not good. So yeah, I would just say, as they say, bury the hatchet. And if you need to apologize, maybe this is your sign to pick up the phone or send a text or an email or whatever it is, and maybe apologize. If the other person you're feeling they need to apologize, maybe don't hold your breath, because people aren't always going to, and sometimes you have to be the one to reach out. And I've been in that situation a couple times at least. And yeah, so if it's someone, maybe you were really close friends at one point, maybe they were like a family member, maybe you've known them for decades and decades, and just time is going by. And like I said, maybe nothing like that has happened, but just, time just flies by, and before you know it, 6 months are gone and a year is gone, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you reach out, maybe tell them happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever it is. And it's like, gosh, you look, and the last time you had messaged or chatted with each other was a year ago. And in some cases, it could be a lot longer. It could be years, it could be 5 years. Maybe there's been a strife that something happened and you guys haven't talked for 5 years or something. But you feel like, they are an important person to you. You love them. You care about them. You hope everything's okay with them. You want to know what they're up to. And I'm sure vice versa. They love and care about you and want to know what you're up to in your life. And that's how friends are, and family members usually. So yeah, this might be a message for someone to reach out. So what happened to me, the first one, and I'll use some different words just because YouTube doesn't like certain words. So anyway, so I had a really close friend that I worked with way back when I was maybe 19 years old. I worked with her at a store. She was my manager. It was a retail store. A lot of fun. The nicest lady. I think she was 10, 12 years older than me. And yeah, we just clicked, and just the sweetest lady. And we were friends, close friends, for many years. And this was in California. And I lived there for about 15 plus years, like during college and after that, and all this other stuff. And we always kept in touch. And even when I moved to Australia with my husband for 5 years, we would still email and write letters and be in touch. I think we talked on the phone also. And this was years ago, not like it is nowadays, where you can just call anyone around the world on Messenger or WhatsApp or Viber or one of those. But yeah, we would keep in touch, very close. She was always there for me, help. She did pet sitting for me when we got married and we were on our honeymoon, she just did all these things. She would always send me little care packages with items from the store that she still worked at. And so anyways, bottom line, we were very good friends. So it was around February of this certain year, maybe, I'm trying to think here, maybe 4 years ago now. And we had messaged, she would pretty much always message around the holidays, even just like, oh, happy Valentine's Day, happy St. Patrick's Day, happy 4th of July, just all those. And so we had messaged around Valentine's Day, and then some months were going by, and, like July came and went, and it was, the 4th of July, and I can't remember, I'd have to look back at my texts if I had messaged her, or I don't even remember. But I know time was going by, and I wasn't picking up the phone to reach out and just say, hey, how are you? And so it was in September of that year. I was off that day. I was at home, and for some reason I reached out again. I'm like, gosh, we haven't talked forever. Let me see what she's up to. And I was close with her parents. Like, her parents were divorced, but I knew both her dad and stepmom, and her mom and stepdad, and all of that. And her nieces and nephews and all of that. And so, yeah, it was September. I reached out, I messaged, and it wasn't delivered. I'm like, that's weird. But she had phone problems now and then. And I thought, okay, there must be an issue with her phone. So I called her house number, which they always had a house number, and that was disconnected too. And I was like, that's weird. Okay, maybe they got rid of their landline. A lot of people don't have them nowadays. And I could call her at her job, and it was not a big deal, and I could say hi or whatever. So I called her work, and so this gets really bad. I asked if she was there. They said, no, she's no longer here. I was like, what? Because she'd always been there, for decades, and she was getting close to retiring. And I was like, what happened? And I can't reach her, cell phone or house phone. I'm a good friend of hers. And they said, yeah, she was unalived by her husband. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. And I knew her husband. They were at our wedding and everything. And I'm like, what? And so, this poor girl, it sounded like a young girl who answered the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to keep her on the phone. I'm like, do they know what, was he, I just didn't even know what to say. And so she just said, yeah, that's what happened. And I think she said in March. I'm like, oh my gosh, here it is 6 months later. Because, yeah, we had messaged in February. And, yeah, we usually probably would have messaged maybe even Memorial Day in May. And then probably July 4th. So a couple holidays had gone by. And so 6 months had gone by since her husband unalived her and then unalived himself. And so I was blown away. I was racking my brain trying to find out remember her sister's name. And by somehow I remembered her sister, their maiden name. And I found her sister on Facebook and Messenger. So I was messaging her. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just found out. So she gave me the rundown. Basically, her husband was very depressed. He had some mental health issues. And he had for a while, quite a while, since before the pandemic and the lockdown and all that stuff, and he had lost his job and this, that, and the other thing. And so he pretty much was spiraling down, and he thought for some reason that it would be a good idea, because he wanted to unalive himself, but he didn't want to leave his wife to deal with his mom and his sister. You know, people do crazy, unimaginable things, and illogical things. So yeah, one morning she was getting ready for work, and that's what happened. And then after he did that, he called 911 and told them what happened, and that he was going to do it to himself. And so by the time they got there, it was all done. So yeah, that was life shattering, just life. I mean, I can't, obviously it was life shattering for her sister and all that. So that's one instance where it's like, oh my gosh, so unbelievable. You don't reach out, and I could have found out like 6 months before, but yeah. And then, okay, so the other instance, so I'm telling these stories because, maybe it will speak to someone to be like, yes, I will, as soon as I watch this video, I will call so-and-so, and at least leave a message or send a text message or whatever you need to do. Maybe this is a message for someone to do that. And so the other person, I know we're at 12 minutes right now, but I'll try to condense it. So my really good friend, my best friend in middle school, her mom, who was like a second mom to me forever. So, for 40 some years, whatever. And we would message, and I would go visit her when I was in that part of the state, and she was in not quite an assisted living. She had her own apartment and she could do her stuff. But she had a lot of health issues. So anyways, what ended up happening, same thing, time is going on, and we hadn't talked for a while. I'd have to look back. I'm probably a year. And I'll admit, I was a little, what's the word? I'm totally blank on the word. So I was, selfish. That's the word. I was being a little selfish, because as she was getting older, every time you would talk to her, it would be at least an hour, hour and a half, maybe more. And it was pretty much just her talking the whole time, and me just going, yeah, yeah, wow, yeah. And so, she's lonely and didn't have many people to talk to at all. And so she was just, happy to talk to anyone. And she'd be, telling me all these stories that I'd heard a bunch of times, and this, that, and the other thing. So yes, I was being selfish, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have an hour and a half to just sit there, and there's other reasons behind that with, I won't get into that, because that's a whole other thing, because sometimes you just don't have it in you to sit there and go through that. But like I said, I'll admit I was being selfish, and things happened. So, yes, I should have reached out. Her birthday is in July, and I'm sure we messaged then. And then, the months are going by. We're in December, and I can't remember who heard first. Either one of her daughters, who she was in touch with, or her stepdaughter, who lived right there in the same town and would help take care of her and do things and update. I was in a different state. Her one daughter's in a different state, and her other daughter was in a different state. And so, I can't remember who heard first that oh, she's not doing well. Or no, it started off as, have you heard from so and so? I've messaged, I've called, I can't reach her. Her number's not working. I think it was her stepdaughter. And she would message myself and her daughter, and who was my best friend in middle school and I'm still close with. And so everyone's trying to call and get a hold of her, and no one can reach her. So finally, they find out, and this was maybe on a Thursday, that, oh my gosh, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a few days ago, like maybe the previous week, maybe 4 or 5 days before. She's not doing well. She's in maybe the hospital or a care facility or something. No one could really find out. So, oh, and there was also another friend, because she had 2 daughters. I was best friends with the one daughter, and then the best friend of the younger daughter, we were in touch. So there's, several of us, I think 4 of us, trying to find out, where is she? What is going on? They said, she's not good. It's really bad. And so yeah, no one could reach her or find out which hospital or which care facility, and time is going on. And it's just like a couple days, and then she passes. And this is all within just maybe 3 or 4 days. And I believe she passed on that weekend. So, and everyone's just shocked out of their minds. And it wasn't just me who hadn't, heard from her, reached out to her. The other girl who was best friends with her other daughter, she couldn't reach her, and it had been a while too. And we're just like, what is going, we can't get a hold of her. We don't know what's, we at least want to say, hi, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, we heard. So that happened. She passed very suddenly. She was diagnosed maybe 7 days before, and then passed. And it was like, oh my gosh. So that was shocking, beyond shocking. So myself and the other girl, not the daughter, we were just blown away, because she was like a second mom to both of us. She was such a wonderful lady. And so my friend, the daughter, we were just she wasn't that super close to her, but a little bit. And then her other daughter, the younger daughter, no one could reach her. She was just MIA somewhere in California, lots of drugs involved, this, that, and the other thing. And so no one could even reach her to tell her. And so that was beyond shocking. And then you're just feeling guilty, like, oh, I shouldn't have put it off. I shouldn't have been selfish. I should have done this. I should have done that. And my friend, the daughter, was kind of feeling the same, like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to her forever. And she was frantically trying to reach her and couldn't reach her, and she died. And then the other girl, who was in the same boat as me, she was just, she was like, gosh, I haven't been in touch. It's been a little bit of time, and I should have. And she would go visit her pretty regularly, but she had said it had been a little bit. So those are just, oh my gosh. I think those situations happen for us to learn from them, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'll have to go through my brain to see if there's anyone who I need to reach out to. I'm pretty good in keeping in touch with people, but for some reason those things happened, and you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. If this is speaking to someone, please reach out please contact someone who you haven't heard from, haven't been in touch with for a long time, and that you want to. and yeah, make amends if you need to. That'd be my suggestion. Or at least just reach out, tell them, you know, you're thinking about them and hope they're doing well. Something like, at least open the door for a conversation to be happening. So, oh, it's rough, but yes. All right. Well, I didn't think it'd go to 20 minutes. I knew it'd be a little bit of time, but those are some crazy stories. Sorry, the cat wants to get in that room. She likes to appear on my videos lately. But I hope everyone's doing well, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe if you aren't already, share with anyone who you think might enjoy the content, and leave me a comment down below. I would love that. So I will see you guys soon, and God bless.